I recently bought a sketchbook and have been using it consistently over the last month, so I thought I would do a July sketchbook tour with you. So I've chosen the Etchr Sketchbook in the portrait format, A5, and it's 230 GSM cold pressed. Being a watercolor artist, I really need the sketchbook to be able to handle the amount of water that I use. I've been trying to get back into painting consistently because I love to paint, so I've really just spent July painting whatever I want in my sketchbook. So the first piece that I have here is a cherry blossom piece. I love cherry blossoms. This is watercolor and gouache. I didn't time this one, so I'm not sure how long it took, but the flower details definitely would have taken me a little bit of time. I'm not thrilled with how this turned out, but it was a fun exercise, and I'd like to maybe come back to this another time and repaint it. This next piece is a galaxy. So I paint a lot of galaxies, and I really needed to test how much water this sketchbook can take because I usually paint on 300 GSM paper, and this is only 230 GSM. I was really impressed. The main focus of this galaxy was also adding browns, which is a color that I'm often scared of using in my galaxies, but I was trying to be brave. This next piece is a landscape. I was really trying to work on communicating depth, and I don't think I succeeded, but it was definitely a good exercise. And I mean, what are sketchbooks for if not for practice? I feel like I overworked this one, and the colors are too dark. It took 45 minutes, which is longer than I wanted to spend on any piece in this sketchbook, really. I was feeling a bit rubbish about that, so the next painting was something that I paint often, and I think I paint well. This is a nebula galaxy piece. This is just one of my favorite things to paint. I could never get sick of this, and the sketchbook held up pretty well to it. So this is all in watercolor with bleed-proof white for the stars. The next painting that I worked on was this Northern Lights aurora scene. I didn't apply my washi tape very well, so there was quite a bit of bleeding here. And the black that I used to darken the blue was granulating, so there's a bit of texture that I didn't really want, but I spent 20 minutes on this piece. And being Northern Lights, it's a very free-flowing kind of watercolor activity that I love doing. On this next page, we have a monochrome painting. So I chose one color, which was Payne's Grey, and I just did an exercise in painting misty forests. I love painting trees. I love painting misty forests, and I was just having fun with this. I didn't go into it with a plan. I was just practicing this technique. I really love this spread. This was very fun for me. The first piece I have here was for an art challenge on Instagram held by Aloha Watercolors. So the prompt that Keiko chose was turquoise, and for this week we painted crystals, and we could add one other color. So I added this shimmer watercolor from her line of handmade watercolors. And this was just very fun and meditative. I'm really happy with how it turned out. On this next page, I have done another monochrome painting. So this is using Moon Glow from Daniel Smith, which is one of my favorite colors. I just love all of the different textures that you can achieve because this is a granulating paint. So I was moving water around, dropping water in, dropping salt in, and was just painting these little circles just as a fun little meditative exercise. The next painting that I worked on was this little split complementary landscape. So I had a look at the color wheel and made a decision of what split complementary colors I wanted to use. So I chose blue, purple, and a warmish yellow. I think it might have been yellow ochre. And just working from really light to really dark in the foreground. I didn't really have any plans. I just spent 25 minutes just playing around with different values and added some birds in for a little bit of movement. So on the next page, I painted these watercolor poppies. I find watercolor florals really intimidating. I really struggle with creating loose floral pieces. So this turned out differently than I had originally planned. And I didn't plan the leaves or the buds. I'm not really happy with how it turned out, but I'm glad that I did that exercise. This is the last spread of the month and probably one of my favorites. So I've painted a monochrome Milky Way landscape, which is another one of my favorite things to paint. I find it, again, very meditative. I've used phthalo turquoise here and used bleed-proof white for the Milky Way details and just finished it off with mountains and some trees. And the last piece of the month is this Northern Lights scene. So I was just playing around with a different technique of, getting the Northern Lights to look streaky. I did use a granulating black to darken the blue, which I'm not thrilled with how it turned out. And I just finished it off with some trees at the very bottom. You can see that granulation texture there. That is it for the month of July. I had a lot of fun getting back into painting consistently last month. I've uploaded shorts of all of the processes. Check those out if you haven't already. Let me know if you have any questions, but be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.